Good evening, good afternoon, or whatever time it is. This is Real Dad's Chat, podcast number 2. This is Rick, and he's Mark.
Alright, guys.
How's it going?
It's not going bad, mate. What about you?
Nice, all right, mate. Well, I say it's all right. I've been up since about 2 o'clock this morning, just sitting on the toilet. It wasn't out of choice, but it's just what you do as a bloke, isn't it?
Is it a curry?
No, I think I've got. I think basically I'm falling apart at the seams. It's not great.
Is this another kidney infection just for the listeners?
Yeah, for everybody listening, this is my 10th kidney infection in about 18 weeks. Or slightly
Jesus
longer.
Christ.
It's a bit painful as well, because basically what happens, right? I've got no airs or graces about it. What happens is, go to the toilet, and my piss,
like you do,
will smell of shit. Right? Yeah. No airs or graces on this fucking show. My piss will smell of shit. And then straight after that's happened, I then dribble. There's no other word for it. Tiny amounts whilst being doubled over. Yeah, no, but constantly for about 4 or 5 hours
is that
on the
not
toilet.
linked to something more serious?
Yeah, I could die. Yeah.
One person podcast coming up.
Yeah, so there is a vacancy for a new host on the podcast when I've died. So
see, my morning wasn't that bad. I mean, Oscar had a meltdown and he managed to get a carpet burn on his head. So we're sort of going in the process now of not baby proofing, of meltdown proofing his room. So we're going to get some of them. Do you know the sound board foam things that YouTubers have on the wall? We're going to get that, so that when he does have his meltdowns, if he does go towards a wall, because he does like to butt his bed, so we're going to put them on the wall so it limits the amount of damage you can take. So we're sort of looking into ways to soft play his bedroom in the best possible way, and we're sort of keeping a diary now of what's causing the meltdowns and things like that. But yeah, that was a manic morning.
Yeah, it's hard work.
And that's why I work from home.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine trying to deal with that meltdown and then having the commute into the office.
Imagine having to deal with that meltdown on your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Terrible.
No matter how good of a parent you are, meltdowns are probably the most difficult thing that you have to deal with.
1,000,000%.
So, we just wanted to let the listeners know, should I say. Obviously, the first podcast came out a couple of days ago. YouTube told us graciously that we can live stream our podcast within 24 hours. So 48 hours later, they're now telling us that we have to wait 24 hours. So somebody at YouTube clearly can't count.
Bullshit.
That's YouTube all over, isn't it, with all the bollocks that's going on with them at the minute. So we had a chat. We sat down. We had a chat, and we've come up with like a range of subjects that we're going to give our opinions on. None of this is scripted. The other doesn't necessarily know what the other's going to say, but we will put down like a list of subjects on a piece of paper, and then we'll just pick one to go at. What I wanted to mention is we're going to attempt to spend no more than 10 minutes on a subject, for the reason of we are trying, aren't we, Mark, to be like a broad church. To use a Tory expression, we're trying to be a broad church of ideas. Yeah,
well, what we said when we started and last week was we wanted to be sort of two people or just a group of people sat in a pub having a chat, and when you're in the pub having a chat, you go from topic to topic to topic to topic, and sort of you have a chat about everything. So we wanted that casual feel, but like you said, I'll let you explain why we decided to probably keep it within that.
Yeah, I think it's just because there's certain things that people have a passionate dislike of. So whether it be gaming, or whether it be sport, or whether it be football or F1, politics, yeah. People have genuine dislikes, and what we don't want is somebody tuning in and the first subject being something they hate, and then them thinking, well, this is all these knobheads are going to talk about for the next 27 hours.
Yeah, this is a gaming podcast. This is a politics podcast. This isn't anything podcast. This is whatever we want to talk about, or what you give us something to talk about podcast.
And despite being so new and, dare I say, virginal almost, we already have questions from listeners.
save that to the end.
Absolutely.
That's a banger.
It's exciting, that, though. And we have...
I was excited.
I was moist. I'll be honest. I'm sliding about on my chair right now. So, I'll do a quick time check. Otherwise, I'm not going to know what 10 minutes is in my old age. So let's look at the first thing that's on the list.
Well, the first thing you wanted to bring up. This was one of your ones, wasn't it?
It is. I want to talk about two old men in an unpopularity contest on TV shouting over a woman. It was the leaders' debate on ITV yesterday.
I didn't watch it live, so I can't profess to say that I knew everything that happened, but I did catch up quite extensively through sort of clips and reading through Twitter today, and wow, that's all I've got.
Yeah.
But I mean, wow, what an amazing spectacle. I mean, if I'm honest, Jeremy Corbyn came off as probably the better one.
Yeah, that's fair to
I don't think that's an unpopular decision. I don't think he came across great, but he wasn't shouting "Get Brexit done."
No, it was a whole strong and stable again, wasn't it, from Theresa May?
Well, Boris Johnson is what's the boxer called? Logan Paul's trainer. Shannon Briggs. He's the Let's Go champ of politics.
Yeah. He's literally got one phrase and that's it.
He's got one saying. He's got one stance on everything. But I think it was a sham debate.
It was.
I don't think they really went at it as much as maybe Corbyn wanted.
There was suggestions of that. I think the difficulty as well is that there was... It was a rehash, excuse me, it was a rehash of everything that they'd ever done in the House of Commons for the past 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. It was just the same two blokes saying the same sound bites.
100% agree with that.
I don't think anybody that saw that changed their political views.
Exactly, that was what I was just about to say. I don't think anyone has jumped sides or been swayed whatsoever. It was the most vanilla debate. I've had more intense debates with my non-verbal son. I've had more debates with him. It's usually, I'm going to shit on your pillow. No, you're not.
And I'm going to rub your pink
and then he does
it.
And I'm like, game over. But yeah, I mean, they're not swaying anyone at this point. It's like I've said to you personally, and I'll say it now, it's going to be a very close run race. I think at this point, it's anyone's game.
Yeah, I think the fact that Jeremy Corbyn's so far behind in the polls and the popularity contest to get what was essentially a draw shows how badly...
with all due respect, I saw something on the BBC. I saw an excerpt while I was searching it all this morning on Twitter, and it was a young lad. I don't know who he was. I think he was a politic correspondent in some way. I'm not 100% sure, so I can't even quote him word for word verbatim. I can't even tell you his name. But I watched a very short clip of him, and he said, "Why is no one in this election race mentioning that Boris Johnson's been deceitful in the past? He's been sacked from a cabinet due to being deceitful. Why is no one mentioning some of the outrageous comments he's made in the past about Muslim people being letterboxes? Or I think he made a derogatory slur against black people. I think he's also referred to gay people as bum boys."
He has, he has.
None of that's mentioned. Not a one mention by any newspaper. They're all happy to let that man run the country. But none of it. Not a one. You did find me one mention in the last 5 months, 3 months, or since the election's been announced. Yeah, go back 30 years for Corbyn. It's double standards.
It is. And, I still have the same debates with people on Facebook now. Oh, well, he's an IRA sympathiser. And you have to educate these people. Look at Marie Gatland, who is a current serving Conservative politician. She was a few years ago, she was on the front benches she was the Minister for Education and Children's Services. She was a former serving member of the IRA, and she is in the Conservative Party as an MP.
I'll be honest with you. I look at when I've watched Prime Minister Question Time or I've watched any debate, and it's rare to be honest, because for anyone that's listening, I have not a politically driven person. I'll occasionally turn it on, or I'll occasionally have a conversation with someone about it, but I'm like 90% of the people out there. I vote one way, and I tend not to get overly involved. But these people who run this country, you turn on, half of them are asleep. Or that arrogant, the slouched in their chair, that's Jacob Rees-Mogg or whatever his name is. I mean, these people are so out of touch with what their constituencies want, and they swan around like the God's gift, so that we should all bow down and listen to exactly what they say. I think the country's a mess no matter which way it goes at this point.
I think it's the lesser of two evils, and it comes back to the popularity contest.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a sad choice to make, though.
Yeah, it is. It is, absolutely. What I'd like to, I know we spoke about this in the past, but I think if Corbyn fails, I mean, I make no bones about it. I'm a huge Corbyn fan. I actually joined the Labour Party as a member for the last election, and if Corbyn fails, despite everything that I think of him and his policies, I think he has to step aside.
You can't have more than 3 bites of the apple.
No. And
in my opinion, and I've said this to you before, so I don't bottle saying what I genuinely think. I think he should have stepped aside if there was a capable person to stand. Now, I'm not going to pretend to know each and every member of the Labour Party, and I'm not going to pretend to know who'd even step in place of him or who'd run for leadership. But he doesn't really get the backing, which generally means he's not going to win, in my opinion. But who knows? The country's a mess, and the people that vote IQ test some of them before they're allowed to vote, in my opinion.
Oh, some of the comments you hear people say on the radio, and you just think,
well, when Tommy Robinson can get 800 votes anywhere, rethink your strategy. Although saying that, my guy's a popular guy, Tommy Robinson. He seems to be all over the place and rally support all over. He's a very good speaker, and he's very good at sort of drumming up support. No one turned out to vote for him, though. No.
I think ultimately with somebody like Tommy Robinson, he's great, like you say, at the public speaking. He's great at sort of inciting the anger almost. But when it comes to it, the people, and forgive me, but the people that he's inciting and the people that follow him are the people that when it comes to polling day just can't be fucking arsed.
Yeah. I mean, well, he ran in my area for European.
Yeah. And lost his deposit.
Election. And to be fair, people turned out in droves when he was there. Yeah. There was a massive turnout. Massive. And I thought, this guy's going to win. This guy's going to do well. And no one turned out for him.
I mean, you sent me some videos, and it was...
I did send you some videos because, do you know what? If I'm honest, like, I know people listen to Tommy Robinson, and I know sometimes he can garner support because of what his message is. I understand that. I can appreciate that. But what I can't appreciate on any base level is a casual level of racism. I think because that's what he inspires. This is all my opinion. This isn't fact, but I feel he inspires a casual level of racism with the message that he promotes. And to see your sort of area that you've grown up in and lived for 30 odd years, and to see the residents and people I knew in the crowd sort of cheering his name, no, that's not for me. I think I sent you that exact message.
You did.
I'm ashamed to be where I'm from.
Yeah, it's not great, and I don't know. But like I said, the people that do follow him are exactly the people that when it comes to it, whatever, they're not bothered. So, they're quite happy to be vocal.
Back to leader debate. Yeah. I feel that was sort of like a Punch and Judy sideshow event for me, from what I saw.
It was, and I think for me, the one telling thing, I think that the last point I'm going to make, because we're on 9 minutes, the last point I'm going to make is...
Bang that out, haven't we?
We've killed that, haven't we? The last point I'm going to make is both leaders were asked, what Christmas present would you send to the other? But make sure that your answer is not political. Now, Jeremy Corbyn said he'd send Boris Johnson a book of the Grinch because, well, he's a bit of a twat. Boris Johnson turned around and said, I'd send Jeremy Corbyn our Brexit manifesto. And he had to be reminded twice because the answer is not supposed to be political. Yeah. It comes back to that banging out Brexit.
Yeah. 100%.
Stupid. Right, that's 10 minutes. We're good at this, you know.
Well, let's move on to my little topic now.
Go.
Obviously, we had the shock announcement of Pochettino being sacked, and then Jose Mourinho instated as manager of Tottenham.
Overnight, there wasn't even a 24-hour break.
No, I mean let's be fair, they talked to him weeks ago, and poor Pochettino probably knew about it.
Yeah, and because nothing he did.
Rumours are that he's going straight to Bayern Munich.
Yeah, so he's got his future sorted before getting fired.
And £12 million
and £12 million in the bank. Football's obscene. I like football. The Glazers have killed my club, in my opinion. They've killed my passion, or the passion that I once had for it. But football is absolutely obscene when you look at the money involved.
My question that I wanted to ask you was, I'd love a Tottenham fan to be listening and give us their opinion. I'd love to know what a Tottenham fan thinks. But would you be enthusiastic about Jose Mourinho managing your club? World-class manager, no doubt. But anyone, as a Manchester United fan, I will argue with anyone, his attitude at Manchester United was unbelievable. He was stinking the place up because he wanted to get sacked for the payoff. And let's be fair, it wasn't just at Manchester United that his attitude was crap. At Chelsea, did exactly the same thing. I mean, he was pulling world-class players to the side, belittling them and having confrontations on a daily basis. Look what he did to Luke Shaw.
Yeah.
Look what he did to Mkhitaryan. That man tried his best to ruin careers. It was unreal. And now Tottenham have brought him in. I personally think he'll do very well there because of the world-class team he's got. But if you were a Tottenham fan, Rick, would you be happy with him in charge?
Not at all. Pochettino has built that team. He has. And he's done it quite often without being allowed to spend. Obviously, he's spent in the past, don't get me wrong. But Pochettino's been asking for money for God knows how many transfer windows, and he keeps getting told, you know, you can have a couple of quid or a packet of Walkers that stay in the back of the sofa.
He spent a bit in the summer. Summer because I think he bought Dembele for quite a lot of money, the midfielder from France. I think he was 50-odd million. But Mourinho's not going to get the sort of money that he was demanding at United. No. He wanted to spend 200 million on 2 centre-backs.
And let's be fair, that signing that was made has all the hallmarks of a Mourinho signing.
Mm-hmm.
So
I feel sorry for Tottenham because I think Mourinho was less of a hungry football manager that went to Chelsea from Porto.
Yes.
And I think he is now I'm a celebrity manager, and he just can't wait to get himself out of there with a nice big payout for his contract, because his attitude. Hopefully, I'm wrong. At the top of his game, Mourinho is charismatic and he's fun to watch no matter who he's managing. Even when he beat us and knocked us out of the Champions League and he ran down the touchline in front of Fergie.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
There was something about him that was charismatic. Now he's like a spiteful child.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you know what he reminds me of? In football these days, we have a lot of players that we refer to as mercenaries as well.
Mm-hmm.
You don't often say that about a manager. There's not many people that will come out and say, "Oh, this manager's a mercenary." In the same way,
I'd agree. Yeah.
But when it comes to that man, don't get me wrong, and you know I'll agree with you. He is a world-class manager. You know he can genuinely pull it out of the bag, but at the same time, it's a bit of a knobhead, isn't
it? At Manchester United, he came across as a knobhead because as a Manchester United fan, like yourself, we watched a lot of press conferences. You watch a lot of build-up. You watch his comments closer because it's relatable to your team and your players and the people that are in the squad. So you hear him calling Luke Shaw fat. You hear him belittling Mkhitaryan. You hear him belittling players. Maybe they weren't good enough, but don't do it in public.
There's one rule.
That's not the Manchester. That wasn't the Manchester United way. I think he bred the culture that we've got now of a club that's broken.
Yeah, and it's going to take a very, very long time to fix it. I mean, there was a report out the other day saying our net debt had spiraled.
Well, because the Glazers keep taking loans against the loan they took to buy the club. How can you buy a business, put yourself in X amount of debt, never pay off that debt, and potentially sell it to bloody Salman bin whatever his name is for loads of billions, and they're going to make money off the deal. It's disgusting.
It's obscene.
That shouldn't be allowed.
It's obscene, and it comes back to what I said.
Take further loans out against the shares that you've got in the club, which is what the sister did this season. And
my understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong, because like I say, I have lost quite a bit of passion for it, but am I right in thinking that they've never actually paid down any of the original debt? They've just paid interest.
The 100% correct figures of that debt, but if they've paid any, it's probably less than 100 million in 10 years plus. It's disgusting. It's downright disgusting. It's why now I've took with another friend of mine to go and watch I post it on Twitter. You see it all the time, don't you?
Yeah.
I go and watch non-league football because there's a passion about it that you don't see anymore at Old Trafford. I don't even go to Old Trafford anymore. It's a club that's got no soul.
No, and that comes back to what I've said. I've lost my passion for it. I've lost my passion for the club because of what the Glazers have done. There we go. So the report says that the club earned 590 million in the financial year to June. That's obviously not taking into account players' wages and outgoings. But the net debt remains at just under 500 million.
Right, so they were in 500 million debt when they took it over.
Yeah.
So they've virtually paid nothing.
They've paid off a couple of million.
Unbelievable. The amount of money they must have took out of that football club is unbelievable.
There we go.
I wish it had come out. I wish someone had come out and tell the truth.
Yeah. I don't think it ever is going to do, though.
No. They're going to sell it to the guy. Is it Qatar? No, it's not Qatar.
Saudi Arabia.
That's going to happen. I don't doubt that for a second. That'll happen in the summer. He'll buy it. He'll invest a ton of money. But then eventually that bubble's going to burst and he's not going to want to be there, and then we're going to be in the same situation City are going to be in. The other thing I did see that I wanted to ask you about, I'll tell you about with the football. Did you see Gareth Bale post-Wales game?
I didn't.
Okay, this is brilliant. Right, so Gareth Bale missed the Real Madrid game from what I believe.
Yeah.
Because he was playing golf.
I heard about that, yeah.
Okay. Now, after the Wales game, they won a game, and he's posed with a flag, the Welsh flag, and on the flag it says Wales, golf, Real Madrid in that order.
Shit.
Just Google that quickly. I mean, he's on 500 grand a week. He's earning £500,000 a week from that football club, and he has the cheek to do that. If you're a Real Madrid fan, you'd want to kill him. You'd want to absolutely kill him. His attitude to that football team is, again, it just stems back to what you've just said. These football players are so out of touch.
Yeah. I mean, Zinedine Zidane, Rin Tin Tin, has come out and said he's going to make him train alone after pictures. Have you seen the picture? I've just got it on the screen now.
It's disgusting.
That's shocking.
It's horrible.
Shocking.
Anyone listening, Google Gareth Bale Wales flag golf. You'll find it. It's unbelievable, that lad's attitude. 500 grand a week.
£2 million. £2 million a month from your employers for playing football.
Most of it he's been injured. Most of it he's barely played a game.
I mean, when he does play, he's got undoubted talent, don't get me wrong. But that's... looks like a fucking monkey, though, doesn't he?
He's got those ears, hasn't he?
Yeah. You wouldn't want to meet him down a back alleyway, would you? Let's be fair.
He's typically Welsh.
Hang on, let's see. Is he hanging out the arse end of a sheep? Yes, he is. He's Welsh.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, he's world class, but he's not showing it at Madrid for me. Nowhere near. Not worth 500 grand a week.
No, not at all. But then, to be fair, even as somebody who was, well into football, I used to, like you, go to Old Trafford, follow every game, follow every press conference. Nobody's worth that sort of money. I don't care who you are.
No, they're not. I mean, ultimately, I don't care what footballers earn. I mean, they demand what they demand, but don't disrespect people like that.
Because what does that say to the fans?
You've got to go back to the Bernabeu.
On your own.
You've got to go and face him. Can you imagine? I mean, when Figo went from Barcelona to Madrid, they were throwing pigheads at him.
Pigheads, yeah. But it's not going to go down well, is it? Because they already hate him.
Yeah, they're not big fans because he's never fit. And yet he's always playing golf.
Yeah. Now, we've hit 10 minutes. I'm going to make one final point on football. If United are sold to Saudi Arabia, how dangerous do you believe the press conferences will become for journalists after the game?
I mean, it's not a good look, is it?
It's not. I mean, we joke about it, but it's not funny. The guy was killed.
You've got a question. Although saying that, Abramovich wasn't clean.
No. He only took over Chelsea, so he didn't get shot.
What was the first fellow who bought Manchester City called Shinzin?
Oh, Shinji. He's in prison now.
Yeah.
Shinji de Windsor. He looked like a little poodle, him.
Yeah, I'm adamant. Anyone who's got that amount of money's done something dodgy.
Yeah. He fucked over the entire Thai government. Yeah, look at that motherfucker.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of the football club and where we'd be in terms of immediate success, a fantastic move. Ethically, although everything's going to Saudi Arabia at the moment.
Pretty much. But then at the end of the day, like you say, even with a mega rich Saudi Arabia owner, we're in the same shit in a few years' time anyway, because they'll get bored, they'll pull out, and it'll all go to shit. So
I don't see them lasting forever.
No, definitely not. So that's football out of the way. So for anybody that hates football, you can now tune back in and start listening to us again. What films have you seen recently?
I've seen, like you, I imagine, with the kids we've got, it's difficult to get a trip out to the cinema.
I don't think we've been to the cinema for many years.
I did go to see the film that I'm going to mention. I did go to see that. So I mainly watch a lot of TV shows and any old crap that's on Netflix, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
The most recent one that really grabbed my attention that I really wanted to see, mainly because I'm a massive fan, The Joker.
Oh, what a film. Genuinely, what a film.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have. Joaquin Phoenix was...
Joaquin Phoenix was phenomenal.
Unbelievable.
I'm a massive, massive Batman fan. I love Batman. I played all the games. It was one of the first movies I went to see at the cinema with my dad when I was young. I think it was might have been Batman Returns. I think because that's the one with the penguin in.
Yeah.
I think I would have been about 1 or 2 when the first Batman came out. Like the cartoon, read comic books in the past. Massive fan. For me personally, Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal of a Joker is the best version of a Joker I have seen. I'm not saying he's the best. He's the best. It's the best film with a Joker in it. But for me, that portrayal is what my imagination made up. Do you know when you read a book and you've thought of, you read Harry Potter and you thought of things a very certain way, and then you watch a film and you're like, that's shit. Yeah. In my mind, that's how sadistic and sick the Joker is.
Yeah. And what I liked about it as well is there's often a phrase that people use about comics, and they say that, this comic, Robin Williams is a prime example, always happy, always laughing, but actually the best comics out there are actually the ones who are most disturbed, and for me that was exactly what that portrayal of Joker was.
I thought the story, considering it was directed by Todd Phillips, I can't remember exactly the films he's made, but I think he's pretty much better known for comedy, if I'm honest. I think he made films like Road Trip and stuff like that, and he's probably made more serious ones since then. But it's a harrowing tale, Joker, of someone who's clearly got significant mental health problems.
And I think...
And this series of events, like, we won't do spoilers of any sort, but the series of events, what happened to him, part the way through, I sat in my seat feeling sorry for him. Yeah. And then I felt very the opposite towards, as the film went on further. I just thought, you're mental. Yeah. But not as in making fun of his mental health, but
No.
he just gone. He was gone.
Completely.
But it was so clever. The
And
twists and turns.
it didn't feel like there was any sort of dead air, if you like. It just
Definitely not.
it flew by, and I think my only criticism really is that it left me wanting so much more at the end. If they don't make a sequel to that,
Well, have you not seen the announcement today?
oh okay.
They have actually announced. Let me just double check on Twitter. Go and say what you were going to say about the sequel.
That I'll be gutted because it was so good that it needs that the rest of the story needs telling.
Yeah, following reports that claims a Joker sequel is in the work now, conflicting sources suggest there are no current ongoing deals or negotiations to make one. So that's some sort of most recent news, but it's topped $1 billion. They're going to make Joker 2.
Yeah.
The only problem I've got with making a second is, will it detract from the near perfect story of the first one? Because do you need a second one? Do you need to add anything to that? I thought it was perfect.
And I guess you're right. God, I'm conflicted because I guess you're right that it was pitch perfect, wasn't it, all the way through?
Mm-hmm.
But it just, like I say, I want to know what happens next. I want to see him get out of the mental asylum. I want to see him start, fucking shit up in Gotham City.
But see, I always like, a lot of people like the mystique of all the other films. Well, apart from the first one with Jack Nicholson, but in the comics and stuff like that, you never really find out who the Joker is, or why the Joker does what he does, or he tells lies.
Yeah.
You think of the Heath Ledger films, he tells multiple lies
Yeah.
about how he got his scars and his backstory. And I'd like to think that that's a certain Joker, and then another one sort of taking over the mantle from him. That's where Heath Ledger come in, and that's where I like to think of it. Because if you think about the crowds of, not to spoil it, a little spoiler, but you see multiple people wearing a Joker mask.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of a little nod to the fact that, okay, this was the guy who started it, but there are many Jokers.
Many Jokers, yeah. That's a really good point, actually. That's something that I didn't think, to be fair.
Because the comic books, I mean, I don't know, I know you're not into comic books, but there's certain
I can't read.
That I read.
I just sit there dribbling.
It's sinister, what the Joker does. I mean, he shoots someone and puts her in a wheelchair, disables her. He also it's alleged in that same scene, or they make it out like he potentially could have raped her. He also, in other scenes, has sort of sadistically assaulted and tortured men and been a bit creepy with that as well. So the Joker isn't just sort of a laughable. I mean, I didn't think Heath Ledger's was. I didn't think his went far enough for me. I don't think he was quite sinister enough. He did bad things, and he was a bit. He had a good plan, but ultimately, he was. I don't know. There was. It didn't feel. The Joaquin Phoenix one felt scary.
He was definitely.
There was parts of it where it was scary. I was never scared of Heath Ledger. I don't like clowns anyway. We've established this, but I found the way you could be living next door to someone who could be on the edge like that, and not really know that's what was scary. And I also very much like the fact that his illness seemed to have been sort of genetically passed down to him. It was just very clever. It's a must see.
Absolutely, no doubt.
Even if you don't like Batman comic book films, because it's too linked to a comic book film, it's not.
No.
It reminded me a bit of sort of Shutter Island. Have you seen Shutter Island?
I have. Yeah. That's a really good.
That sort of feel to it.
That's a really good shout, to be fair.
That's another fantastic film.
It is. But Joker is a definite must see. If you're at a loose end and you want to rent a film from your favourite streaming service, then I absolutely would recommend Joker before anything 100%. Else, really.
What TV show have you watched recently that you've really enjoyed? Because if we're recommending a film, let's recommend a TV show as well. You can go old TV show if you want. You can go new TV show.
I think we get into the end of the year, aren't we? So what does that mean? What does it mean when we get to December nearly?
Christmas.
Black Mirror. Not bad.
True though, isn't it?
Well, a little bit. Black Mirror.
Black Mirror, yeah. Black Mirror, you can't go. It's a good shout, that.
I don't think I've seen a single episode. I've seen plenty of episodes where I'm sat there scratching my head saying, what the fuck just happened? But I don't think I've seen any episode where I'm sat there like, this is shit, I'm bored.
Yeah. No, they're good shouts. Yeah. What's your favourite Black Mirror?
Probably Black Bear. What was it called? Black Bear. The reality TV.
The killer.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah, she killed her kid. Yes. So they made her relive the same day being chased over and over again, and it was like it was like a prison,
like
wasn't
a
it?
Theme park, wasn't it?
It was like a theme park because they had like audience members cheering her on, and then they'd inject her with the shit, and it'd all start all over again the next day. And
for me,
Mechanica as well, the black and white one.
Oh, see, I didn't like the dog one.
Yeah,
I weren't a fan of that one. I'd say Black Museum.
Yeah, that's a great shout. That's a really...
the Christmas one with John Hamm.
I think my Christmas one... The difficulty I had with that is I watched it in the wrong order. No, they are. The Christmas one's really, really good. But what I'd recommend with that one is that you watch that probably last.
Yeah.
Because I think I watched it too early. I watched the meta sequence, you see, and I think I watched it too early. So I went back and watched it again, and I enjoyed it. And understood it as well.
That's your sort of TV recommendation.
I would say so. I don't watch a huge amount of TV. I mean, obviously, I'm a massive, massive fan of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
But I think the majority of people are. And, El Camino was, for me, the perfect end to Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it yet. My TV show, I don't think you'll have ever seen. I think I might have mentioned it to you in the past. It's an American comedy. It's called Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It is easily the funniest TV show around. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's about 4 friends who own a bar, and it's about basically they just get up to stupidness, and then Danny DeVito comes into it in the second episode. It's not politically correct. Some of the episodes names alone might put you off. One of the episodes is called Charlie Gets Molested.
My lord.
It's very low grade humour. It's perfect 30-minute release, and the very, 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 very clever episodes. Highly recommend it if you get a chance to watch a couple of episodes. Most people will love it.
It's certainly got rave reviews on IMDb.
Phenomenal, mate.
All the review sites are available.
Is an absolute genius in it, Frank. Unbelievable.
I like Danny DeVito. I've always liked Danny DeVito ever since Twins.
His best work. By a mile, mate. By a mile. Not even close.
You're going to trigger people.
In the second season, and he came into it because the studio was about to cancel it, and one of the TV execs said, "You know what? I know Danny DeVito. Let's offer him a role, and we'll give it another season and see how it goes." And then once he comes into it, he is a fucking wrong'un. I mean, he's taking cocaine off the bar, prostitute. Give it a go. Trust me, give it a go.
I think I'll watch a couple of episodes before our next episode. And I think I'll give you my thoughts on it. But certainly looking at IMDb.
The first episode of the first season is called "The Gang Gets Racist."
That sounds like a perfect intro.
That's that opening gambit.
It certainly sets the scene, doesn't it?
But yeah, it's definitely worth watching. Give it a go.
I absolutely will do that. What's next on the list? I think you want to talk about...
It's a mystery one, isn't it?
It is.
I didn't even tell you what it's about.
Yeah. On my little tracker board, it literally says question mark. So, question mark.
This is something you do not like. I already know you don't like
Am I going to rage? Are you going to trigger me?
I think the subject, you might get triggered initially, but then when you find out what it's about, you probably will. Okay, so I'm a massive Pokemon fan. Yeah, that tone says it all. Right, so new games came out recently.
It did last Friday, wasn't it?
Squeaky chair again.
Poor fucking chair.
Came out recently on the Switch. Okay, so before these games came out, there was outrage, as there always is on Twitter.
Okay, outrage why?
Right, so because you don't know Pokemon, I'm going to explain a little bit about what happens. So the very first game had 150 creatures.
Okay.
You had to go around and basically catch them. The second game added another 101. The third game added more. But each game's majority of the time, there's always had every available one in there. Okay, bear in mind the very first game was on Game Boy, so it was green.
Yeah.
You could barely hear it. It made the stupidest sound you've ever seen. So this newest one, they've not included all of the Pokemon.
Oh dear.
And apparently there's been some graphical issues where it's not perfect on the Switch. I own both of them. I played it. People on Twitter are unbelievably outraged because it's not got all the Pokemon in. And they're outraged that it doesn't look as good as a PlayStation 4 game. What are your thoughts on that attitude?
Fucking idiots. I've got friends that work for Frontier Developments who have made games such as Elite, the spaceship simulator.
That Elite Dangerous?
Elite Dangerous, yeah. Well, it was initially Elite, then it was Elite Dangerous. But the first game they made was Elite back in the 80s. They've been going for a long time. They made Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, Planet Coaster, Planet Zoo. They've made Disney games. They've made loads of like relatively minor games in between. Jurassic World, they've made that. So I've seen this from a standpoint of sort of a developer, really. So as a consumer, if you're paying the same amount for something that you paid previously, you do expect to have the same level of goods almost.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's unreasonable.
Sorry to interrupt. Bear in mind that these reports were leaked a long time before the game came out. So any Johnny come lately who knew about this, they knew in advance that this was the package they were getting.
Okay. As a consumer, it's disappointing if you're paying the same amount and getting less, perception-wise. Mm-hmm. What people don't understand, though, you made the point when you opened this by saying some of the original Pokemon were on the Game Boy, which was just green and about 2 sprites on a really low-resolution screen.
Sound. It used to, each Pokemon was like...
How's that go again?
How they sounded as well.
That sounded like my back. To give you a quick story, Planet Coaster, fantastic game, really, really detailed in 4K. Each roller coaster or ride model has 16 times more detail than it did in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. So when it first came out, everybody was like, oh, fucking hell, there's not enough rides, blah, blah, blah. And the perception was that people were getting less for the same. But actually, when you looked at the development time of each ride took 16 times longer to develop than it did back in the day, if you like, when Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. So I think as a pragmatist, you have to look at it and you have to say, if you perceive you're getting less content, that's frustrating. But then at the same time, if that Pokemon was just 3 sprites back in 1980 whatever when the Game Boy was out, compared to today on the Nintendo Switch, how it would have taken 5 minutes to program it in the way it looked back then. Now consider how long it would take to draw it, to animate it, and then to program it these days. I think people are off their minds. I've seen a developer friend of mine who works for Frontier had death threats made to them. Well, he's just an artist.
That's been very similar to the response. I mean, the Japanese weren't happy with it. Don't get me wrong, no one seems to have acted with the wallet and not bought it. Everyone still bought it, and now the reviews are absolutely rave reviews now that it's come out.
Yeah.
But the outcry from the public beforehand was was on the point of like pitchforks and torches to chase down these people who aren't giving you exactly what you want. I've got no problem if you dislike a game, then don't fucking buy it.
Don't buy it, yeah. Like
Simple
anything.
as that. Vote with your wallet. If you don't, I personally buy any shit like video games. I do buy everything. I'll play video games that no one on this podcast or whoever listens will ever have heard of.
I've not heard of half of the ones. Nuno fucking Kono, what's that?
Nino Kun is a massive game, mate. Don't know that one.
Nah, bullshit.
But that's a cracker of a game, and just because it's not got a specific fluffy monster that you didn't need, you go to Twitter. Basically, it's a rant at people who go to Twitter to voice their opinion because you matter so fucking much.
And you know what? We've had this discussion, not about the game or anything like that, but we've recently had a discussion about people on Twitter voicing their opinion, acting more superior, acting the dick, basically. Let's not have, two airs about it.
What I don't like, though, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go.
What I don't like is if I put on there, I'm alright because I don't give a fuck what people say, but if I put on there, I'm going to buy, I post a picture, I bought Pokemon, whatever, or I bought Resident Evil 2, and then some idiot puts below it, it's a shit game.
Yeah.
Just don't fucking comment, mate. I don't respect your opinion.
Or your face.
Not when you're coming at me with, oh, it's a shit game. Then don't fucking buy it, and don't search up comments about Resident Evil 2.
If you hate it so much.
Don't seek that confrontation. Yeah. It's unnecessary. I've got no time for you.
The internet.
No, by all means, if you've got something constructive to say, oh, I've heard that's a bit shit. What do you think of it? That's a different matter. Yeah. But it's like you say, it's that black hole of social media. Maybe I'm not made. Already know I'm not made for social media. I look at some of the things sometimes, and it makes me cringe.
Yeah, there's many times I'll open social media and see a post by somebody, and I'll just think, twat, and just. I mean, I won't get into a confrontation with them and say, why are you saying that? That's wrong. Because you just, first of all, you come off like a bit of a bell end, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to I'll be honest with you, and again, this might sound really confrontational, but it's not meant in the way that I know it's going to sound, and I'll explain why. I'd rather you come and tell me to my fucking face and say what you've got to say than be a keyboard warrior over that, because I guarantee most of these people that do write this nonsense wouldn't have the bollocks to say it to someone's face.
No.
It's like you see professional footballers getting absolute grief and racism thrown at them because they've put jog on. If you haven't got the bollocks to say it to someone's face, don't write it online.
Yeah, especially when the majority of these people don't use a proper account. I've never been that
passionate about Pokemon before. The other thing that I did want to ask you was, have you seen the reviews? I know we're probably pushing near the 10 minutes for this part, but have you seen the reviews and the information about Google Stadia? And what are your thoughts on Google Stadia's model?
I don't like the model.
And by model, I mean no physical games.
I do not like the model at all. There's a few reasons why. First of all, if Google got bombed by a Saudi Arabian journalist, for instance, big up to Saudi Arabia if you're listening. I don't have an issue with you, but
or if they just decided we don't want to do this anymore,
fuck it,
and turned it off.
Turn it off. Everything you've paid for, you've lost.
Yep.
So I dislike the digital only model. What and you and I have spoken about this. To be fair, I dislike about digital games and stuff is how fucking expensive they are. Do you remember?
You shouldn't charge me 50 quid for something.
No.
When you give me I don't even. Well, you never own a game legally.
No, legally you're just on the rights.
But what Google Stadia are offering, PlayStation and Xbox both do better jobs of now.
Yeah.
PlayStation Now. I don't know what the Xbox version's called. You've got PlayStation Now. I mean, from what I've heard about Google Stadia as well, is you need a really high-powered broadband, which fair enough, most people have. But the latency, because it's streamed, is horrific. Like you'll press a button and a second and a half later your character will jump.
Imagine playing Call of Duty that way.
That's not good enough.
That's not going to cut the mustard.
That's a service I hope personally. I'm sorry to anyone who's bought a Google Stadia, but I hope it falls on its ass.
Yeah,
Google greed.
Do you remember when we was growing up, and the argument used to be constantly by game shops and by reviewers and by gaming magazines, you're paying 45 quid for this game because it costs money to print the cover. Exactly. It costs money to print the disc. It costs it costs money to ship that to the shop. It costs money to give the shop their cut. So why is it then that I can go out? I bought Call of Duty Modern Warfare for 46 quid on a disc, which when I sell my Xbox when the new one comes out, I'll get more money because I'm giving the person who buys it extra things. Why is it if I then bought the digital copy, which I can't trade in, I can't sell?
You can't even return it, Gary.
No.
Once you've downloaded it and opened it, even if your kid's done it by accident, I tried it once because what had happened was, I bought Final Fantasy 14, which is an online MMORPG. Don't worry about it. But I bought it, but then I couldn't remember my old username and password for it, so it was physically unusable. I couldn't do anything with it, and PlayStation wouldn't refund it because technically the game had opened.
Yeah, and there's no comeback.
I couldn't use it.
It's
the only time I buy digital is when there's a sale on the store.
Don't get me wrong, I've got plenty of digital games, but I will never, ever, ever buy them unless they're a bargain.
100%. Do you remember when you were a kid? That's another thing. Do you remember when you were a kid? Like, I remember getting a Super Nintendo and getting a specific game, and it had a booklet, and it had a map, and it had a box with box art in. That's gone.
That's long gone, isn't it?
Well, that's going to be gone. That's going very much to be gone. But yeah, I'm glad you're on the same page as me with that. I'm going to throw in some gaming talk every now and again.
Yeah, no, that's all good.
I love gaming.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think there's a dearth of new games coming out this year.
Football Manager was out at the start of the week.
This week, yeah. How is it?
Yeah. I bought it, so I had the pre-beta anyway. Well, I had the beta. It's probably, I say this every year, but it's probably my favourite version of it this year.
Is it just a small incremental update, though?
Of course it is. Yeah. I mean, there are some very nice features been added. Like there's, you've got sort of more control over delegating certain things. Like, I always hated having to renew contracts, let's say.
Yeah.
So I can delegate that totally now to my director of football, but without having him fuck around with new players' contracts. Because what used to happen in old game, you could delegate that, but then if you tried to sign Mbappe, he'd only offer, your director of football would be in charge of offering that new player a contract, and he'd try and give him shit money, and then the transfer never went
falls through.
So they're all quality of life upgrades.
More of a patch than a new game, then.
Yeah, with obviously updated transfers, although they'll have released it now with Pochettino at Tottenham and fucking Mourinho is good now. So it's only as good as the day it comes out.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of games that release annually are the same. Madden, FIFA, Pro Evolution, F1. They're all the same. They are just incremental updates, but they do get better. I think each year. I don't think any game goes backwards. So sometimes it's good to miss a year.
Before we move on, though, I mean, I'd love, if anyone listens, for you to comment below and say this. How much would you like a new Fight Night game off EA?
I would knock you the fuck out, chicken legs, boy.
Definitely wouldn't, but
you're getting chinned.
Boxing's at its most popular point for a long time, and no Fight Night game.
It's especially when it's EA, the kings
licenses
of printing money.
It's got to be boxers' licenses. That can be the only thing, because EA would cash in.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like,
no.
I've never known a time where boxing's as popular, unless we're just obsessed by it and nobody else is.
I don't know. I mean, KSI and Logan Paul, two people that can't fight, just sold a fight.
Whilst not even being able to knock the way out of a fucking paper bag. And Andy Ruiz is getting 13 million for his fight against AJ. Yeah, AJ's getting 87 million as the not champion.
Well, that's because he had that pre-contract. When that Ruiz was offered the first fight, he was automatically signed into the second fight under what AJ told him he was getting. So he'd got slightly more than the first fight because he's now champion, but he couldn't even negotiate. I mean, Andy Ruiz talked a big game that he could negotiate and he'd decide what he was doing. But ultimately, let's be fair, he's going to Saudi Arabia and he's earning peanuts. in comparison to AJ.
I hope he knocks him the fuck out. I mean, I know that's not a very British thing to say.
Part of me's seen a side of AJ that maybe he isn't this humble young gentleman that he comes across as. I mean, I personally like him to be a bit more gritty, a bit more Mike Tyson-esque in his attitude when it comes to boxing anyway. Because I think
I was going to say
he was too nice to Ruiz the first fight, and that's why he got beat. Well, it's not why he got beat, but he was too nice, and he tried to be who you are.
Yeah,
just be what you are. You're not a nice, humble young man.
No,
you're a big, massive monster. Play your part.
Yeah, and it feels like with AJ that it's all sort of scripted and media trained.
Media trained, doesn't it?
Yeah,
and he is media trained. Let's not be fair. Let's not kid ourselves. He is worked with Eddie Hearn's hand up his ass.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I don't blame Eddie Hearn. That man's making cash. Good for him. But he's working. He's working AJ like a glove puppet.
He is. He's killing it. He's killing it. So, I mentioned on the previous show that I'd had an argument with a takeaway, and
I had a story to tell, didn't I?
You did.
Well, saying that I actually wasn't there for this, so you've had a story to tell, really.
I thought
because I
was
got told about it. If you remember, I wasn't there.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna go. I
mean, I can tell it because I remember it.
I think you probably remember it better than I do. I mean, I remember vaguely what happened, but you tell the story and I'll fill in any blanks.
So, for people that don't know, me and Rick did used to work together, and we used to quite often go out for lunches. And one day I'd booked out to leave, so I wasn't in work. And I came in the next day, and some other person who we worked with, who was a big lad at the time, not anymore. But we'll
He's
get
a
to that.
lean killing machine, him now.
He was a big lad at the time, and we'd gone in a local takeaway, and it was a kebab stroke pizza shop. Well, Rick and this other lad had gone. I'm not going to say his name because obviously I don't want to out him in any way like that. So they'd gone in, and the lad was ordering a kebab. Now I think you were both ordering kebabs.
I think so, yeah.
Because they were both greedy fucks.
Fat. Well, I'm not going to call the other lad fat, but I was a fat fuck, yeah.
So they were both ordering kebabs, and the takeaway guy behind the shop, this is what he said to customers who were stood in his queue ordering his food.
Paying his wage.
What you wanted, and you said a kebab, and he went, "Be careful ordering that, or you'll end up as fucking fat as you may."
Yeah.
So that's what he said to customers in the queue. If I'm honest, and I said this at the time, and I actually went in the following few days, I think with you, I'm not sure, it might have been with a person, and I told him exactly what I thought of him. I'd have stuck his fucking head in the deep fat fryer. I was fuming. You don't treat people like that who come into your restaurant. That was disgusting.
It was. And do you know what? I sort of kicked myself for how I reacted to it at the time.
Well, on the day, I'd have been shocked and not said anything. Yeah. I'd have just walked out, but I'd have been shocked.
I was just literally stood there like, did that really just happen? What
I told him the next day, I said, "You're lucky, you know." And then to give context to that, the lad then went on a massive binge diet. So he was only eating probably 800 calories a day, if that. He was eating no breakfast, no lunch. He'd have an apple for lunch, and he'd eat the smallest tea. I think he ended up losing about, I want to say, he's got to have lost about 8 or 9 stone.
Yeah, I think that's a fact.
And that was all because of them comments. And he wouldn't admit it, and I hope he never listens to this, because I wouldn't want to make him feel uncomfortable. Although I hope he does, because we backed him up.
Yeah, and fair play to him.
Yeah, definitely fair play to him, and he's kept it off as well. But he looked visibly depressed.
He did.
For a few weeks afterwards, and rightfully so. Because you don't need to, I mean, you're going in there to give this guy money, and he says, "Because you're fucking fat." Come on.
It's shocking.
So how is this relevant to what you wanted to say? Because you said this will lead.
I did. Yeah, no, you're right. So first of all, the person, if he does ever listen, I want to say, well done for for what you've lost.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I still see him regularly, and he still eats anything that he wants. He just works hard at keeping it off.
Yeah. The one thing I will say about it is it should never have happened in the way that it did happen.
That should have been his choice and his way to lose that weight, not been told by some little twat in a fucking pizza shop.
And
Still makes me angry.
But karma dictates that little twat in that pizza shop, it doesn't exist anymore, does it? So it's all
it doesn't work there anymore. It got bought and all the staff got sacked.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I hope he got. No, I'm not going to say that's racist. Right. Brexit means Brexit.
So let's not do that.
So I on a semi-related. No, I want to tell the listeners, if there's anybody listening, I want to tell the listeners a story as to what happened today, and this made me feel really good.
You're going to be telling me the story because I don't know it.
I am. So at least I've got one listener. Worst case scenario. So, in order to apply certain medication, certain things have to be done. So that's the context as to why this was happening. So,
right, okay.
My significant other removed my top and bent me over a table today.
She removed your top?
She did. And whilst bent over that table and holding me onto it...
Did she not remove the pants down a little bit?
Well, I mean, I can neither confirm nor deny if pants were involved.
Okay, because I got very confused there.
Or strap-ons.
Maybe like a depository, what's it called?
A suppository.
Suppository, yeah. Go on anyway, sorry.
So, obviously, I was bent over a table by my significant other. And while she was holding me to the table, potentially with or without pants on, one will never know, she said, "My God, you've lost a hell of a lot of weight off your back." And that's something that you don't really ever see.
Your back, do you?
Yeah. So, whilst the story is about being bent over a table, the happy ending is...
Do you know what? Right, you're not going to believe this, and I don't think I've ever told you before.
You're into
I've got a medical style story that's not the same, but it does involve being bent over. Oh, okay. I should have saved this for like episode 10 when we start charging. This is money worthy. Okay, so I was about 21, maybe younger even, 18, 19, between 18 and 21. I can't remember. I think I worked in a sports shop. I'm pretty sure I worked in a sports shop. And I noticed one day that I had a big lump on my stomach. Like sort of just above the belly button, just underneath your breastbone, sort of in between there. But it was very big. And it was quite sore. Not sore to touch, but it was giving me a bit of pain. So I thought, shit, and it come out of nowhere. Like one day it wasn't there, next day it was there. Didn't do anything, or didn't think I'd done anything where maybe you'd pulled something, and I'd not felt any extensive exercise that had caused this. And I did a lot of exercise and played a lot of football. So I was in, I think it was JD Sports where we worked in the airport.
Yeah.
Manchester Airport. So I shown it to my manager, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" So he said, "You know what, Mark?" He said, "I don't want to worry you, but go to the doctors." So I think it's when walk-in clinics were just sort of being established, to stop the flow into A&E. So I walked into this walk-in doctors in the airport, actually it was. Oh no, it was a pharmacy. I went in a pharmacy.
Okay, yeah.
I showed him, and he sort of was poking me in the belly. And he went, "Do you know what? You probably need to go to A&E." So I said, "Okay, that sounds worrying."
Yeah.
So he said, "Well, it could be a number of things, but I don't want you to have cancer and not do anything." So I thought, "Do you know what? Fair enough. At least you get down and get checked over. It's better to sort of deal with an issue sooner rather than leave it and worry." So I went to the hospital.
Especially as blokes as well, because we do tend to put that sort of shit off, don't we?
Yeah, 100%. But it was right in the middle of the stomach. Weirdest fucking thing ever. So I get to the hospital, and I took my mate. So I had this proper scally mate he is as well, to be fair. So I took him. I'm going to say his name. His name's John. So I took John with me. That might not be his real name, but I'm just saying that. So I can refer to someone. So sat in the waiting room with John, blah, 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 blah. Went to see the triage nurse. She had a look at me. And she said, okay, right, what we're going to do is we're going to rush you straight through and we're going to get you a specialist down. So I thought, fucking hell,
Jesus.
what's going on here? So I went into a sort of one of the side rooms, not into one of even the cubicles. So I'm thinking, fuck me.
Side rooms where you go to die.
Yeah, and my mate sat there with me and I'm sort of like worrying. I'm thinking, what the fuck's going to happen here? So this guy comes in. He's got a coat on and everything. Now, before this story,
why was he cold?
Story, I'm going to assume he's a doctor. I'm going to assume because of what preceded. So he said to me, he said, look, are you his partner? So we went, no, I'm the block. I'm his mate. So he went, well, why has he brought you? He went, well, he just didn't want to come on his own. He said, fair enough. He said, look, I've got to do some tests. Can you wait in the corridor? So John said, yeah, no problem. Now, it was just a curtain, but it was a lot more of a secluded room than there was no one else around there. So it's like a little offshoot room. I'm guessing it's where they come to tell you when someone's died or something like that, to be honest. So there was a bed in there. So he said to me, just do me a favour. He said, I was in a gown. They'd already put me in a gown because they decided behind the scenes that I needed an operation. So he said, you're in the gown already, that's brilliant. Can you just curl into a ball in the fetal position for me? But facing the wall. So I'm facing the wall with nothing underneath the gown, bear in mind, right? My mate stood outside of a fucking curtain, okay, and he puts on a glove. So I'm thinking, I kind of know where this is going, right? I'll brace myself. So he does what he needs to do downstairs, and by that, he double checks my prostate. I'm assuming to make sure that I've not got prostate cancer, right? Okay. So at the exact moment this man enters his fingers, my friend leans through the curtain, right? Starts old camera phone, starts taking pictures, shouting up and down A&E. I don't want to say my surname, but blah 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 got fingered, blah 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 got fingered, and that picture spread to as many people as he could physically get it to.
Amazing.
Okay. It turned out, by the way, just so you know, there's a happy ending.
I bet there was. Was that whilst he had his hand up your arse?
It was an ultrasound scan, and there was no need to finger my arsehole.
I don't think that was a doctor.
I don't know whether it was a doctor or it was a cleaner at the end of his shift who thought he looks a bit tasty. I'll have a go at that ass.
Wish you.
But either way, just for you and the listeners, I've been fingered.
I might have got fingered, and if I had a sound effect for that, I'd play it. But
it's more like this. But yeah, that's my story.
I think the question is the question that the listeners want to hear now. Obviously, you got fingered. Did he reach around?
Do you know what? Right, I think because my mate I'm not going to lie and say I remember this happening. It didn't last very long. Once I knew my mate had seen in the room and was taking pictures, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? But yeah, no, and I had to have an operation that night, and I was rough as fuck, and he'd shown all my other mates this picture of me getting fingered by a doctor.
The operation was on your stomach?
Yeah.
So when you woke up...
I ended up having, I think that one was a double hernia in my stomach. Painful. So the muscle wall had broken apart and part of my insides was popping out. And that's what the lump was. So I had to have like a mesh put over my stomach wall.
Yeah.
And that one weren't healed, but then I ended up getting about 6 or 7 more hernias. And I ended up with a hole in my stomach as well due to that. And that caused excessive acid from the stomach. I don't know what the full story is, but I've had multiple operations on my stomach, and I've only ever had one person's fingers in my ass.
And that was
Dr. Patel, his name was. He never called me back.
Did you get to a second date or?
Nope.
When you woke up,
I went to sleep. What,
from the operation, you know, when you woke up, what hurt more? Did your stomach hurt more, or did your ass hurt more? Because I'm just wondering if Dr. Patel was in the operating theatre. Had a quick go, you know.
Oh no, I was in agony. I was on morphine as well, so I mean, I definitely didn't dream it. I was definitely fingered.
So Dr. Patel could have potentially come back for seconds. Sloppy seconds.
He was on shift that night. I know he was in. He loved me. Honestly, it was the most random thing ever because they done know. Like, the doctor who I saw on the ward was like, why didn't he just ultrasound you? Because I must have told him in my sort of morphine-fueled haze, why didn't he just ultrasound you? That's all you need for a hernia. I was like,
cheers for that.
I just want to know, make sure he's a doctor, mate. Or one of your cleaners has just fingered me.
I'll be honest. Now, I wasn't going to tell this story because I had no idea what you was going to say, but that reminds me of a story that I've got. And it makes me wonder if there is a random fingerer patrolling the hospitals of the northwest of England. So I was in hospital many, many years ago with pneumonia. Mm-hmm. And they put me into this random mixed ward of like random ailments, and it was mixed sex as well. So I got admitted at about 3 o'clock in the morning to be wheeled in a wheelchair to see the guy in the bed opposite me, who was an African guy, literally sat on his arse with his legs crossed, jumping up and down. And I don't want to say like a monkey, but I don't want people to think I'm being racist. But he was jumping up and down saying, "Oh, nurse coming, oh, nurse coming, oh, nurse coming." But whilst he was jumping up and down, right? And I thought, what the fuck? Do I have pneumonia or have I just been sectioned? Yeah. So that was that. So the next day, I'm awake and, you know, you've got all the shit pumping through you and blah, blah, blah. And the doctor comes round and he goes to the person on my left. And all I hear is, "I'm going to need to examine you." And he clearly finger blasts this bloke next to me. He goes and speaks to the nurse.
I'll be honest with you.
Say again?
It's not for me.
It's not great, is it? No, I'll be honest. But then what happened was, he then went and spoke to a nurse and said, right, who's the next suitable candidate for me? Rather than going from bed to bed to bed like you would.
Who's the next candidate?
Who's the next candidate? So then he went to the guy opposite, right? And I remember this as clear as fucking day. He said to the guy opposite, he said, "What's happened to you?" And he couldn't really talk because he was in quite a lot of pain. So his missus said he was up some ladders cleaning a window and he fell off.
Did he land on something?
I'm guessing he probably landed on his back or his cock, one of the two.
Oh, I was hoping he'd landed on like you hear them stories about ketchup bottles and stuff where they've just been fucking their ass with a ketchup. Go on, sorry. Maybe
he landed on an old granny and just, you know, had to go Wayne Rooney style. So anyway, so he's having this conversation. He's like, right, well, we're going to have to check that you're okay. He says, it's not very pleasant, but, you know, I don't really want to do this. And I'm thinking, you lying motherfucker, you've just done it to the guy next to me.
Loves it.
And he says, right, I'm going to have to put 2 or 3 fingers up now. Right? I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Mine was 2, by the way, just so the listeners know. Mine was 2.
So you're quite loose now?
Well, he just had to check the prostate, and apparently that's the best way to do it.
Yeah,
I've had a look on YouTube just now, and that is the normal way to do it, because we weren't going to tell you it was 2 fingers until I checked.
So he's saying to this guy, and this guy's like, "Is that really necessary? Can I not have a scan, or can I?" And he's like, "No, I'm going to do it. All right, you just need to bear with me." And this guy's like, I'm really not comfortable with this. And this doctor's like, "Okay, but I'm going to do it anyway." So at that point, bear in mind, I had pneumonia, right? And I was quite ill with it at the time. I was out of that bed and down that fucking corridor quicker than you can say flash. And I hid in the canteen for about 4 hours until that fucking perverted doctor had fucked off. The one thing that makes me think mine maybe wasn't a doctor, right? The only thing that makes me think is that he didn't tell me what he was doing. Yeah.
So he wasn't clear. He didn't give me the instructions that I expected. He didn't say, "Look, Matt, what we're going to need to do is check your prostate to make sure you've not got cancer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these gloves on, lube up, and I'm going to just double check by putting my fingers in your arsehole. Are you okay with that?" He didn't get consent.
So, we have no consent. Wow.
He just didn't tell me what was happening. it was just like curl up in a fetal position and brace yourself type thing. I was like, okay,
I'm going in.
what for? And then I had a zip, and then no, but yeah,
And then you got
no,
wet
he really
legs?
didn't. Honestly, I mean, as far as I can remember, he didn't. But yeah, but fuck it. I mean, at that point, I was in pain. So do what you need to do, mate.
At the time, but then certainly afterwards, you do think something's not quite right here.
Afterwards, I thought, did he finger me for fun? I wasn't sure. No, but no. I mean, never be deterred though from going to have those things checked.
No, even if the doctor walks away with a clear boner in his pants,
Yeah.
at least
I mean,
you've
to
made
be
his
fair,
day.
With some of the hernia pains, if he had sort of like, I don't know, like painkillers, liquid on his knob, I'd have said go for it, mate. Just crack on, just ease the pain.
Just get it in there nice and deep, make it
Anyone else
last.
got any funny medical stories?
Yeah, send us your funny medical stories in the comments below.
Maybe that's the perfect time to move on to the next question.
It is. We have a listener question. I'm going to read it out. So,
please do.
The listener says, "Hello, enjoyed listening to your first podcast. Unlike the subjects, very humorous at times, and you two bounce off each other. That's because we're fat as fuck."
Can I just say, at times?
Yeah, that's quite rude. Should I
Come on,
ban
John.
this person?
No, don't ban him. Come on, John. All the time, mate. All the time.
Constantly. Like hailing
Get to his
pace.
question.
All
Get to
right.
his question.
So this guy's called Sean, and he says, when the weather gets cold at this time of the year, my arthritis in my wrist flares up. And it's recommended exercise that helps. So, do you think I should pleasure myself more than twice daily to... I've not read this question properly.
Just to relieve the symptoms. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, what I'd like to say is it's recommended that you exercise your wrists.
Wait, hold on. Sorry. Not laughing at you, arthritis, Sean. 100% not, mate. But you're asking us, should you masturbate more than 2 times a day to relieve the symptoms of the arthritis?
Absolutely. Well, you should be doing it more than 2 times a day anyway. Let's be fair. 2 times a day, that's not acceptable.
That's child's play, mate.
It really is. My bollocks would probably explode.
You've got to bump them numbers up. That's why you've got arthritis. No, realistically, mate, with arthritis, do you know what? Probably.
They do recommend exercise, and what is better exercise than weightlifting?
Well, we don't know how big Sean is.
No, we don't. He might have a inverted penis.
Do you know what? He might have. Oh, joking aside, why not just get some tiny weights and just do some like arm curls, like wrist curls?
No, I think he should masturbate more.
Yeah, probably. Well, everyone should.
Yeah, I think... Do you know what? We should... Let's have a special masturbation stream.
Definitely not. I tell you who could help, Sean. Dr. Patel.
Dr. Patel. In fact, let's get his number, and we'll get him booked in to see Dr. Patel, and we'll film it.
This is the worst time of year for arthritis.
It is.
Because it's cold. In that link to it, when the weather's cold.
Yeah. I've got arthritis in my hips, my back.
See, I know. So my dad gets it really bad because he's got heart problems as well now and circulatory problems. But he's got basically no cartilage either in one knee because of arthritis, and he can barely walk now. I mean, to be fair, he didn't move much before. Bernard the Hut, but yeah. He doesn't move much. I'll tell you, just before, I know we're wrapping up any second, but a cracking Bernard story. I don't know whether I've told you this. I'm going to bring one of these potentially to every podcast.
Go.
Okay. So when I was young, I'll tell you many stories about playing tricks on Bernard.
Did you used to prank Bernard?
Oh, I'd go as far as to say I bullied Bernard. Bernard's my father. Just in case I've not made that clear.
I mean, has that been confirmed yet?
Well, not medically.
No.
Dr. Patel was my dad. But yeah, Bernard's my dad. So what we used to do, and by we, just me. I've got a brother and sister, but they didn't play part in it. I was a bad kid. not a bad kid. I was a mischievous kid. So one of the many tricks I pulled on him is Bernard hated visitors, first of all. So he hated anyone knocking on the door. His first response would be, "Who the fuck is that?"
Answer the door and you find out.
What time of the day it is, no matter who it is, and then he'd answer the door in the most aggressive fashion ever. So if it was my mates or a girl coming to the door, they'd be intimidated. Usually it'd be in Y fronts and nothing else.
A bit like Walter White.
Hey, honestly, he's just a big fat belly, saggy man boobs, blue Y fronts, right? And he'd constantly fight. He was the most embarrassing person you'll ever meet as a dad. Like, top dad, amazing dad, but proper knobhead. So he hated guests. The second thing he hates, sorry for anyone who's massively religious. I'm personally not. I'm an atheist, but respect to all the religions out there. He wasn't a big fan of Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on because he didn't believe anyone should push their religion on someone else. So if they did knock on, they'd just get told to fuck off. So I was I want to say, in fact, I was probably about 18 again. So I saw 2 Jehovah's Witnesses at the top of my road. So I stopped them. I gave them my dad's details and his address, and I told them, look, he's really looking to convert to being part of the family of Jehovah's Witnesses. Is there anything you can do? They said, you know what, Matt, there really is. We can go around and give him a presentation. So he said, we take this flip chart, we've got all this information.
Amazing.
Do you think that's something your dad would be interested in? So I said, you know what, he'd absolutely love it. But can you arrange it for Sunday? So he said, well, we don't usually do them on Sunday. I said, trust me, he's well up for it. I said, just make sure it's Sunday and make sure it's around 10 o'clock. He said, brilliant, that's right before service. We could do an hour. He'd love an hour. That man will be happy with an hour. So they turned up when Manchester United were playing. Knocked on the door and we were arguing with Bernard that they wanted to come in, and he was fucking fuming to the point where he ended up chasing 2 Jehovah's Witnesses down the road, did his blue white fronts. But yeah, there's a Bernard story.
That's amazing. Do you reckon we could get Bernard on as a guest?
Do you know what? He probably would.
Would he be angry?
He's got a dirty, potty mouth.
Well, I mean, we've both, mainly me, I've sworn plenty tonight.
Let's see what listener, and he could be, he's not far off a Carl Pilkington-esque character. But I've done some outrageous things to Bernard. Next week, or next episode, I will tell you about the time I stole his car. If that doesn't get you coming back for more.
Can I just add?
And then the episode after, I'll tell you about when I stole his shed.
Can I just add that the listeners won't know this, but you stole Bernard's car. I don't know that story, but what I do know is that you don't have a driving license.
Yes.
And you can't drive.
I don't have a driving license.
So we'll change your name for that episode in case Greater Manchester Police are listening.
Mark wasn't driving.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, you're not stealing a shed on your own either, by the way. Let me just point that out straight away. And my mum and dad don't live in a detached or semi-detached house. So the story of stealing the shed is phenomenal because it had to go over 7 neighbours' gardens. And they're not the only ones. I've done some outrageous things to Bernard. He's kind of like my human punching bag.
So, I mean, how is he currently? Is he sectioned?
He should. He's very much sort of like a Homer Simpson-esque character, Bernard.
Yeah, I think the listeners are going to want it.
He's enraged very fast. He's old. He's old as fuck now. What is it? I mean, he's not old actually. He's probably nearly 60, but
he's old.
I mean, joking aside, he's got some horrific. He had a stroke last year. So he's got some massive health issues. So I don't play as many tricks on him anymore. But some of them are absolute bangers, by the way. So if you want more, we'll call it Bernard News.
Yeah, the Bernard segment.
Yeah, I mean, the Ricky Gervais podcast had Chimp News, so we should have Bernard News.
And let's be fair, not much difference really, is there?
Well, I mean, he has more hair on his body than a chimp does. I think that should finish every one of our podcasts, Rick.
I agree. I think the "and finally" story should be a Bernard story every time.
Bernard News.
I'll do a jingle for it this
Maybe
week.
do it like a fat person falling down the stairs, so it's like EastEnders. Yeah, another one. He fell on a plug once.
He fell on a plug. Did Dr. Patel put it there?
Nope. It's stuck in his foot.
That's not a good thing.
Nope.
Did he get fingered?
Probably. Well, that'd be by choice.
Ask him for the next episode if he's got a story of ever being fingered by a doctor.
We'll text him, and then I'll send you the screenshot of the text so you can put it up.
I'll put it up on, because somebody in YouTube will hopefully be able to count by the time we do the next one in a few days, and hopefully we'll be able to do it live. So if we can do it live, it's easier to sort of be a bit slicker with the graphics and stuff, whereas when it's pre-recorded, although it can be done, it's a lot of hard work versus just doing it live. So
yeah, definitely.
Not that I'm saying our listeners are not worth the effort and hard work. Do you know, just very quickly before we wrap up, bearing in mind we don't have an existing fan base to tag this idea onto, our first video has 34 views.
And a comment.
And 4 subscribers. But do you know what? You can laugh at those numbers all you want. 34 views.
I was laughing at the comment.
No, I know. You can laugh at those numbers compared to the rest of YouTube all you want. But 34 on a video that has no existing hook to grab people with is amazing.
Yeah, it's great, and it'd be nice, like a live stream where people can interact. Like it was made up when you sent me that, because Rick sent me the comment earlier on today, so I was made up when I saw that comment. It cheered me up a little bit, because I'm not the most confident of people doing this sort of stuff, but it's fun.
Yeah, and I think the listeners the person that sent that comment in is nothing. I've not asked anybody to leave a comment, so that is a genuine listener that has somehow found sort of you and I talking bollocks and chosen to spend their time writing a question
on YouTube.
Oh, really? Should we dissect his channel next week or next episode? Let's do that.
I think
let's abuse our listeners.
We should have a look through his channel and decide whether we want him as a guest at some point.
And we'll showcase some of his videos.
Although he did talk about wanting to wank off, so maybe not.
Yeah, if you can assure us that you're not going to knock one out whilst Dr. Patel's giving you a couple of fingers on the live stream, then I'm sure we can arrange something.
I'm giving him a thumbs up.
Yeah, in fact, I don't think I've given him a thumbs up. Let's give him a thumbs up. Dr. Patel's going to do that anyway.
Just and tell him we've answered in the next episode.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Actually, I'll do that because I'm not very well organised. Cool.
But yeah, do let us know if you do listen, because it'll pick my spirits up.
Yeah, you know what?
I'm a sensitive snowflake.
He is a bit of a snowflake. I'm going to come out and say you. I think you was a little bit nervous, wasn't you, earlier on, and you wasn't sure that it was the right thing to do carrying on.
Yeah, but I weren't. Yeah, I'm not I never professed to be an expert in any situation or on any subject, so I didn't want to make a fool of myself, really.
What I'll say is, you're not making a fool of yourself.
Well, I've just told that however 30 odd people that I've got fingered.
That 30 people will turn to 60 people, will turn to 120 people. Maybe you'll get an offer again.
I don't. In fact, another story. There was a second occasion where that was attempted.
Is this with or without consent?
Well, it was without consent, but it wasn't by Dr. Patel.
Save that one for the next one.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what I want to say before we end the stream, Mark, is that you are, in my opinion, the best person that I want to do this thing with. I can't think of the word. Endeavour. Podcast. Talking bollocks for an hour. So,
no, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, no, genuinely, because we've been mates for years. We bounce off each other really well, not just because of our bellies, because they're going down now.
Well, as Sean said.
We can bounce. No, not with cocks. The thing is, I mean, I sent you that question before we started, and I thought I'd read it, And then you sent me a reply saying, fucking hell, I've just read it properly this time.
Well, I didn't read. I just read that. I did that. He was asking for help with his arthritis.
Yeah, I stopped it. My wrist flares up and it's recommended exercise that helps. So I thought, I'm going to tell him to wank. That was my answer.
That's where I stopped. And I was like, uh-oh. Genius. Brilliant.
Yeah. So make sure we've answered this question. So contractually now, Sean, you are obliged to send us another question on this video for us to answer.
Feedback of how our advice went.
Yeah. How many times have you increased it to? Has it caused problems with your ball sack?
Although there was that person that died from doing it too much.
There was.
I'll bring that news story next week.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was in Brazil.
We'll flash that up on the screen next time we we record. But yeah, please don't die from masturbating. But at the same time, give us feedback.
So you shouldn't have to make that a public service.
Can I just say that we don't want a video? So give us feedback, but you're okay. You don't have to put it on your channel. Of you masturbating. Again, shouldn't have to make that public, but there you go. Have you got anything to say?
No, that's pretty much it for me, I think.
Awesome.
I think we've covered our subject and answered our first ever question. And thanks for being the first question.
Yeah, thanks for being our virgins. No, thanks for popping our cherry.
Yeah.
Yeah. It felt good. It felt good, didn't it, that?
It did.
In fact, it felt so good that we need to do it again. Maybe with one at each end. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always, talking to you, mate. Keep your pecker up. Honestly, what we're doing here, I think, is well received. Clearly, because you've got to comment so quickly, and you're not making a fool of yourself at all.
Yeah, we'll find out. Well, we won't find out, will we? It'll be interesting to see how this episode's received as well. I think this one's been a bit tighter.
It has, but I think it's been more relaxed. I think we've shown more of the real us, whereas the first one was quite... It was all over the place, but also we was both quite nervous about how we're going to come across, what we're going to talk about, telling quite serious stories. I mean, you know, I dare say we could have an entire episode devoted to just getting fingered in hospitals. Brilliant. Leave a comment below. Let us know if you've liked the show. Let us know what you want to see. Let us know if our advice helped you. And just leave any other random comment. We'll guarantee to read it out because we don't have much else to read out. So there you go.
That's definitely the case.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you, listeners. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.